Hi, my friends. Once again, welcome to Master of Horror, the channel that will petrify you. Come with me into the depths of horror with these true scary stories with thunderstorm sounds. Thank you for listening. Now, let's begin. Scary True Paranormal Story number 1. I once took a road trip from New Hampshire to Florida. I had to stop at a hotel to sleep overnight when I was about halfway there. It was an old vintage-looking hotel that rested off the highway on a quiet road. There were 2 cars in the parking lot, so there were definitely not a lot of guests. The lady at the front desk was very robotic with her words. The lobby was full of tacky chairs and tables you'd expect to find on the curve. The wallpapers were all outdated and very old-looking. It didn't matter because I wasn't staying there for the luxury, just for the night because I was extremely sleepy. It was really late when I checked in, around 2 in the morning or so. When I got in the room, all I did was take out my toothbrush and brush my teeth before jumping into the hotel bed. I turned off the lamp next to the bed, tried to go to sleep, not looking forward to the long day of driving I had ahead of me. Right when I was about to fall asleep, there was a knock at the door. I looked at the bedside clock to see what time it was. It was exactly 3 in the morning. I went to the door and looked through the peephole. Apparently, the peephole didn't work because I couldn't see out into the hallway. It was pitch black. I looked down at the crack under the door, but didn't see any outlines of feet blocking the light. So I opened the door just a little bit to peek into the hallway. I didn't see anyone standing in front of the door. I opened it fully and then peeked down both sides of the hallway. It was clear, so I had to suddenly question if someone in this relatively vacant hotel was pranking me. I shut the door and locked it with the bolt this time. I went to lay back down in the bed, but then it happened again, banging on the door. This time, I jumped out of the bed, ran to the door, and checked the peephole again. Shockingly, all I saw was the empty hallway outside, but it hit me this time. I could actually see through the peephole. I unbolted the door and opened it. No one was there. I looked down both sides of the hallway again. There was no one. I could feel as if something was watching me. The hairs on my arms were standing straight up. This was where I drew the line. I grabbed the key to the room and went to the lady at the front desk. I told her someone kept knocking on my hotel door. I asked her to check the cameras to see who it could be. She replied they didn't have cameras in the hallways. The reaction also wasn't what I was hoping for. She seemed very unconcerned with what I told her. She said in a calm voice, there was only one other guest in the whole building. Then she just stared blankly at me. I could tell she wouldn't be of any help with this problem. So I left her and went back to my room. I locked the door with the bolt again. This time, I put on my headphones and put on one of those 5-hour sleep relaxation videos on YouTube. This would not only help me get to sleep, but block out any noise that I would hear coming from outside the room. It worked for a while. Eventually, I flipped from my side to my back and looked around the room. Then I froze with fear. I was staring at the corner and sat up to try to get a closer look at what I thought I was seeing. It looked like a giant humanoid figure, about 10 foot tall, standing right in the corner with its head to the ceiling. It was all pitch black. When I put the image together in my head, I felt a sudden rush of horror in my body. I quickly turned on the lamp, but when the room lit up, there was nothing in the corner of the room. I simply sat there with my heart beating probably 180 beats per minute. I gave myself a couple of minutes to calm down before shutting the light back off and laying back down on my side. I put the headphones in my ears, playing the relaxation video, and it really did help. I calmed down a little bit more, and not even 2 minutes later, as I looked in the corner of the room, it looked to be the 10-foot tall humanoid figure standing there looking straight at me again. I crawled to the edge of the bed and looked closer, and I practically shit myself. I saw what I was sure was a long arm at the side moving. I dove to turn on the lamp again, and the corner was empty again. I didn't stick around that time. I bagged up my few things in a matter of seconds and left the room. I gave the key to the woman and said I'm checking out early. She didn't even say a word as I stormed out the front door of the hotel. I then continued driving until I found another hotel where I fell fast asleep with no supernatural disturbances. Scary, true, paranormal story number 2. As a kid, I had a bedroom on the first floor. Money was a little tight, and my mom was taking care of 4 kids. I was the youngest, so I had the little room. My room was next to the living room, a small square room with wood flooring. There were 2 big vents in the floor in this room and 2 opposite corners. My bed took up half of the room. Like I said, it was very small. I was 13 years old doing my homework on my bed since I didn't have a desk in my room. When I heard a child's laughter, I freaked out. I went outside my room to look around the living room and kitchen for any of my siblings that must have been playing around. Everyone was upstairs asleep. I definitely heard that laughter. There's no way I could have imagined it. I continued my homework, but with one ear listening for any other suspicious sounds. Eventually, enough time passed that I was able to move past it. In fact, it seems it was just about when I was able to get over it, I heard it again. Kids giggling. It was louder, and this time it went on longer. It wasn't coming from outside my room. It was somewhere in the room. I figured one of my brothers was hiding from me. I followed the sound of laughter strangely to the corner of my room. I then looked down at the vent on the floor. That's when I figured out it was coming from inside the vent. I got down on my knees and pressed my ear up to the vent. There was no more giggling at this point. When there was a silence for a few seconds, I lifted my ear from the vent and then put my eyes up to the vent to get a peek inside it. It took me a second to realize I was staring at a pair of red glowing eyes looking back up at me. It opened its mouth and made a low growl. I jumped back to the wall and screamed for my mom in tears. She came storming into my room seconds later, but of course the noises were gone, as were the eyes. My mom thought I was going crazy due to a lack of sleep. I refused to sleep in that room that night, so she let me sleep in her room that night. This went on for a couple of weeks before she put her foot down and forced me to continue sleeping in my own room. We eventually moved a year later, and nothing paranormal ever happened since then.